Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where I talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
Today we are discussing the 16th episode of Season 5, Last Stand. The episode opens with Osiris threatening Daniel with a dagger before he manages to convince her that he is Jaren using the real chemical. He contacts Selmak and decides not to release the symbiote poison, as he wants to save Sarah Gardner. Selmak reminds him of the stakes and tells him to release the poison immediately. The rest of SG-1 and Lieutenant Kevin / Lantash are trapped in the Tok'ra tunnels, and Sam and Lieutenant Kevin are trapped between the two cave-ins after a bombing run. Osiris reveals to the system lords that she has been sent by Anubis, who is banished. The Goa'uld plan to make their human slaves into hosts as soon as the summit is over. Daniel steals Yu's cargo ship to leave with Osiris, but Osiris and Yu get into a knife fight and both are left behind. Osiris assumes that Yu is behind her capture and stabs him with her dagger, and Daniel escapes in his escape pod, and he and Selmak meet up with SG-1. Elliot / Lantash sacrifice themselves to buy the team some time to escape through the Stargate.
Or
Fun
does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good place to jump into it. I know previously you'd mentioned, Victor, you have a theory about Elliot, because we see him at the end and he's basically dead, but we don't get a body.
So I have a lot of feelings about this episode, or half an episode or quarter of an episode that they kind of stretched out. But at the end, I mean, I love ambiguous endings as much as anyone, but there's ambiguous and then there's like, we just didn't write the ending, you know, because the last shot is we see like Elliot Lantash and he has like this poison that, you know, they might take him to the Stargate and he could release it there and SG-1 will be able to escape, or he'll have to release it here, or they might take it from him. And we just hear the Jaffa kind of advancing on his position. And you're like, okay, so does he release the poison here or at the Stargate? You know, obviously, you know, and then the next episode, we're like onto something completely different. So there's no, you know, I think they needed just one more scene here, like of them going through the gate and saying, gosh, it was great that Lieutenant Elliot like sacrificed himself for us. But I think they intentionally wanted to be a little ambiguous and vague, and it was a little like too much in that direction.
Yeah, it was the ending. It was weird because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of stretching in this episode, but the ending just seemed kind of like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, you don't even see like dead Jaffa laying by the Stargate as SG-1 is walking in. It's like, no, they wander off and you hear the horn, you know, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, we know why we don't see any dead Jaffa. They explain that in Wormhole Extreme.
That's right. Yeah.
No,
So my theory
Well,
is that
also-
Lieutenant Elliot like gets up, runs away, and then there'll be a new show called Stargate Elliot that's just about him and Lantash.
Aw.
him wandering around trying to get back to Earth, right?
Yeah.
Through the Stargate system.
Maybe the next jump
Who
is
knows?
the jump home.
Yeah.
There you go. With all the
He's looking
rumors
to
out
see what-
there, anything could be plausible.
That's right. And he keeps going to planets and somebody's stolen the DHDs.
And Yakety Sax plays throughout the entire episode.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we didn't talk about in the previous episode is Osiris sees Daniel,
Yep.
Mhm.
knows this is Daniel,
Yeah.
and is saying, that is Daniel Jackson. He is a member of SG-1. He is a traitor. Instead, confronts him so that he has time in the beginning of this episode to poke her with the
real
Ring.
the hallucinogen, so that she thinks that he's actually a servant of you instead of Daniel Jackson, and completely forgets that she saw him as Daniel Jackson
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As
for
far
a
as I
few
know, the
minutes
real,
anyways.
Yeah, I mean, we know the real toxin like rewrites your memories to a certain degree, you know, because SG-1 remembered seeing Lieutenant Tyler. He's like, oh yeah, he's been a member of our team, so it does rewrite your memories. So
For a couple of months, he
Mhm.
came through the gate with us,
Yeah.
and yeah.
But I
Yeah.
can understand why Osiris would be like, Daniel Jackson's here. I wonder what his angle is. Let me confront him and ask him what his. But then when they get into the negotiations with the system lords, they're like, join us for the explicit like purpose of wiping out Earth and the Towery, right? And so it wouldn't matter what Daniel Jackson's angle is if Anubis's whole plan is just to wipe out Earth and the Towery, so and yeah, so it would be like, oh, well, we're going to wipe out the Towery and there's one right there,
Well,
so.
and what better way to get on the good side of the system lords than to say, oh yeah, this person claiming to be the head slave of you is actually a traitor, and somehow either you is complicit or is fooled by this person. Either way, that is not actually the head slave of you.
Maybe.
Yeah, but
She didn't have the cred at that point to.
I think it's all distraction. It takes away from her point of what she's there to do. If she starts bringing up, oh, you've already been fooled by this other guy, then it steals her thunder.
Yeah, and then you're like, no, I haven't. Like, you're nuts, and then everybody's like, yeah, you are crazy.
Yeah. I liked it because I like that whole, he looks at her, she looks at him, and then it's like, what's going on?
Yeah. Maybe because Osiris has Sarah's memories also.
Oh, true.
She figured that she could, she knows how to manipulate Daniel Jackson. She figured she could use that to her advantage to manipulate you.
Yeah.
There's always
and she knew
10
that you. Well, and you and Osiris had the longest history. Or no.
Yeah.
You and Anubis have the longest history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she knew God, that's hard to say. You was going to be hard to convince.
Yeah. And it's because we know Osiris is an ancient system lord, but he at the time, was trapped on Earth at the time that everything was going on with Anubis, which we don't know yet what exactly all that was, other than he was basically kicked out of the system lords.
For being really unethical and bad. Wasn't that exciting?
Yeah.
So bad that all the other system lords is like, yeah, we're bad. No, you're just flat out evil. You're just flat out wrong.
Yeah. Which is like so curious, right? Like,
yeah.
And then it's like, well, yeah, but we have this treaty with the Asgard that covers like the Gould system lords. Surely it doesn't cover this particular Gould, right? Because he's been that wouldn't matter to the Asgard, right? Whether he's been assumed dead for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
well, even Osiris would be like, oh, I didn't sign that treaty. I was nothing to do with that.
You need to get get the lawyers from the Triad episode in here to look over the legalese.
Better call Thor.
I'd watch that show.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like, is this like the third or fourth time we've had an episode where the Tok'ra have a base on a planet and then it just gets bombarded from the sky by the Gould and they have to escape? Like, sense a pattern going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're not good at hiding.
I wonder why they haven't figured out how to do their tunnels, deeper. So that the aerial bombardment doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're 20 feet under the ground and their bombs are hitting us. Let's go 100 feet under the ground. Let's see what that does.
Yeah. Or get a spaceship. Like,
yeah, exactly. Something that can move. Yeah.
They're trapped. I mean, and I like the way, I already forgot his name. Zapaknik.
Zapakna?
The way he calls them rats scurrying underground.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good one.
It was very like mustache twirly. I liked it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
We spent a lot of time in tunnels.
The tunnel effects were vastly improved.
Yes.
Oh, they were.
The tunnel effects looked cool, like with their mouth opening up.
Yeah, that looked really cool. Even the tunnel sets looked cool. They had some cool floors now. Like, I guess they've updated the crystals now that they like make tiled floors as they go along.
Instead of the concrete of the set. I mean,
yeah.
It's the
soundstage. Yeah.
This was the spring 2001 edition of the crystals. They just released them at IKEA.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
2002 now.
Oh wow, excellent! Back from break. Yeah, there was a lot of padding in the tunnels here. A lot of just sitting around in tunnels. I did like the thing about the different crystals, though, how the different shapes and colors cool. make different kinds of tunnels. Nothing, I mean, their descriptions didn't seem to match the props really, but at one point, Teal'c looks at them and just shrugs.
Yeah.
That was half the fun. Yeah. That was half the fun. Right. It's like, you need the square one. And it's like, well,
that looks square.
Yeah. That kind of looks square. Stab.
And you got Jack and Teal'c like, does that look square to you? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
And then Carter's like, it has to be precise or you'll kill us. And they're like, I don't know.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Or what's the one to go up? The one that's diamond, and there's 2 diamond-shaped ones. That one. Yeah.
So it is like IKEA. You can't follow the directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of this episode, I feel like you were saying, Victor, this is like 25% of an episode, and they're like, all right, let's just add a bunch of scenes of Lieutenant Elliot being sick and dying on the floor, and then a lot of running around in tunnels.
Well, and even the previous episode, we had a lot of conversation about Lantash and and what the symbiote remembers and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, oh yeah, the symbiote kind of got broken out of its cage because of the aerial bombardment, and now it's in Lieutenant Elliot.
Yeah,
right.
And it's trying to keep both of them alive.
Yeah, and I read Joseph Malazzi talked about this in one of his, I think it was a blog post, maybe it was at a convention, and he said that originally when they wrote the draft for the script, J.R. Bourne was supposed to be in it, who played Martouf. So he was supposed to be in this episode, and when they couldn't get him because he was busy doing something else, they had to
dissect his brain.
Make it work. And so when I read that, because it does feel weird to have Carter, like Elliot being like, he loves you, and I don't know, the whole thing was just like
that was like okay, as a lieutenant, you know better than to talk about stuff like that with your senior officer. I'm sorry.
it had a lot of touchy-feely scenes between Elliot and Carter, and he's like, this feels weird, and she's like, I know, and
it's like ma'am, he wants to make sure you know, and it's like, oh no, Lieutenant, boundary violation. Let's go here.
I'll be right here, Elliot. Yeah.
It just, I think I've talked about that before. Like, I feel like the whole Martouf thing anyway, he was like manipulating Carter emotionally. So, I mean, like, he won't go away. Like, now he's in Lieutenant Elliot. He's still trying to emotionally manipulate her. Like, I love you. I'm dying. But
oh, that's okay. I'll just sacrifice myself so you can live. No, just go through the Stargate. I'll be fine here. Oh, no big deal. I love you.
Sure you betcha.
New body who
so
dis.
I kind of wish J.R. Bourne had been in this episode, because it had to have made it better, right? Like that part. Like,
well, there's like he's the lieutenant's literally reaching up and stroking her face, and it's like, oh, that's just so creepy.
Yeah, no, it's weird.
Just makes everyone uncomfortable,
except for Carter, evidently.
I guess that's the influence of her having the symbiote in her, though.
Yeah.
She's got those conflicted emotions, but still.
Yeah, the Jolinar in her is like, yes, he loves you, yes. It's like a weird Hallmark
memories.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I thought it would have been like really funny because the Jaffa breached the base, and we saw like, at the end of the last episode, like, 100,000 Jaffa soldiers like all assembled. And then when they actually get into the tunnels, we see like 6 of them. Yeah. And those are like or 4. And those are the ones that like Teal'c and Jack shoot. I thought it would have been funny because they're like going through like this really narrow opening. If they just kept shooting Jaffa until like the whole entryway was just like packed with Jaffa corpses and stuff. And so it was like, oh, we can't get through anymore, because there's too many dead Jaffa in the way. But
I think it was some video games like that where you just kept shooting them and they kept stacking up. I mean,
then it cycles the sprites and the bottom layer just disappears.
Bottom layer just fall down. Yeah.
Well, of course, if you're watching the video, you see behind Victor the massive army behind him there, and it's like, okay, we don't see the massive army other than in CGI, so. And it's like, oh, we're coming to check out the lab, and there's like 3 of us. Boom, boom, boom. Now they're all dead. Oh, well.
Yeah. Or at the very end, we hear like them marching, right? And we don't actually, yeah.
Yep.
So, the one Jaffa we do see is the guy who has to keep going, like giving Zipacata like bad news. He's like, we haven't found him yet. Oh, okay, bye. And he's like,
and by the way, we've lost half our army, but we're going to completely, we're going to win. We're absolutely going to win, sir.
He's like, why are you here if you haven't found them yet?
Don't show your face, which tells me we will never see that guy again because he won't show his face to Zipacana.
Yeah. Well, just like that offers, like, go down to the planet and look for them. And if you can't find them, don't come back. And so we're like, okay, does that mean you get to build a little house on the planet and just like kind of
hang out? Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like a pretty nice planet. I mean,
I was thinking this is usually we see Tok'ra planets, there's sand.
Yeah.
And this one had trees. And I was thankful for the trees when Teal'c and Jack were trying to run. And, it offered some cover for them. Because if they were just on another sand planet, that would have been...
It was a different part of the area around Vancouver they filmed this one in.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the dunes or the flats.
I was thinking there's several episodes of Battlestar Galactica where they're down on a planet that's filmed in the exact same location and they're wearing like the fatigues and have like the machine guns, and you get a lot of that in this. So I'm like, you could just put those scenes from Battlestar Galactica and this right next to each other. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Probably filmed in the
There's
same
a reason why they're
place.
starting to spread out where they film in Canada, that it's not all Vancouver, but now Toronto and other places, because I think they're sick of the same locations.
Yeah, Odd Squad is filmed in Toronto, and there are some really interesting places in Toronto that they find for that. There's like this water park set that they use a lot.
I think they film a lot of the newer Star Trek in Toronto too.
Well, they do. Of course, they do a lot of the virtual sets now too. So that changes a lot of things on that. But
yeah, in the new Stargate series they're going to use that cutting edge virtual technology from the Mandalorian to emulate the Vancouver forests.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be cool.
Wow, this isn't the same exact type of planet. No, the plants are all yellow now, or purple, or no.
Just color grade everything.
Yeah.
So getting back to Daniel, it's funny how his mission goes from poisoning all the Goa'uld to, well, I can't do it now because my ex-girlfriend is there, to, well, we really need to find out what Anubis wants, to, we got to know now we have to know why they have all these symbiotes, to why are they eating all the symbiotes?
Why were they eating the symbiotes? I never figured that out.
And it's like the Tok'ra, they set this up in the previous episode. It's like, and the Goa'uld population has stopped growing. This is really weird. And you're like, yeah, it is really weird. Are they not able to reproduce
because they're
anymore?
doing like a dominance thing where they're eating their children?
No, it's just because they want to eat them.
It's
just because they just want to eat them like hot dogs.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I don't
I wonder what they used. Like, I don't know if it was just like foam rubber or something, but it looked pretty hot doggy.
I don't know. Sushi rolls? Maybe?
Sorry, I don't know.
I did read something about that whatever they were eating wasn't really edible, or you didn't want to swallow it. And so they kept having to cut and like spit it out. And like
so I bet it was something like a foam rubber or something like that.
Some eel sauce for that.
I don't know that. Again, I've seen this episode before, but I've forgotten that. And I was like, oh, so they're going to try and implant him with a Goa'uld. Okay. And then they start eating it. And I'm like,
yeah.
Wait, I don't remember that. Like,
well, and then
do we
they
ever
had the whole
see that again?
The whole sequence where Daniel is talking to the slave of Baal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would be honored to join their ranks and become one of the system lords. And that's totally what doesn't happen.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice scene, though, where Daniel's talking to him and he's like,
it was a great scene, but it was kind of a misdirection of this is absolutely what's going to happen is that, he's going to become one of the, no, never mind. They eat the symbiotes.
Yeah.
But he would still be honored by it.
This is why we need Joseph Mallozzi back like every week. Because I just got to go like, why? What was going on there?
Yeah.
Well,
because this is when he was starting to be more involved in the series at this point, in the middle of the 5th season. So, I mean, he would know some of the stuff.
Writing credits, like Mallozzi and Mully were listed as the writers of the previous episode, and Robert C. Cooper was listed as the writer of this one. I assume that all 3 episodes are written by all 3 of them, and they just, shared the credits because it was a 2-parter.
Well, I was going to say at this point, I thought they were like executive script editor or something like that.
Yeah, it is very strange. I mean, the reason Daniel can't release the poison is because it would create a power vacuum, and then Anubis, but once he knows that there's going to be an alliance, then there's no point in not having a power vacuum because everybody's going to be aligned. So,
but then he wants to find out what the plan is, if there's a plan.
Yeah,
or just
I
guess
especially
he
with
just wants to save Sarah.
He's saying that he wants to, Anubis wants to wipe out the Tauri. So how is he planning on doing that? We have to know that so we can defend from it.
If you kill all the other Gould, then they'll be less powerful. So do that.
But then he'll be able to.
No,
they've already shown that you kill a Gould, and the other ones will take over their forces.
Yeah,
so.
Anubis would just get all their Jaffa and other
and we do
ships
see
stuff.
that as it kind of
That's
goes
true.
on that he builds more and more forces. So
yeah, and Anubis. I like that they introduced him here. I think it's interesting they introduced Baal because I believe, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, Baal outlasts Anubis.
Yes,
oh
yes, he does.
very much
Yeah,
so.
we
Anubis
deal
goes
with
all the way
Anubis
to
first.
the made for DVD movies.
Or Baal does.
Okay.
Ball does, excuse me,
Yeah.
Ball does, yes.
Yeah,
He
so
goes
I
all
like
the way
that they introduced them
to the
both at
end.
the same
Yeah.
time, and we're gonna deal with the big baddie, which is Anubis first. And
But that's a whole season of dealing with Anubis, and so it gets interesting. It's very
It
interesting.
does. I kind of. I mean, I know we say it's not a full episode, but I like it because it's just, again, like I said last week, it's like it sets us up with like classic SG-1, all these Goulds and fighting and Tok'ra and tunnels and ships and all that stuff. And then at the same time, you don't even realize all of the seeds they're planting to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it is more than just by the way, there are still these big baddies called the Goa'ulds out
Yeah.
there that you need to remember because we haven't really talked about them much lately,
No.
but they are out there. It is more than that. It really is
Yeah.
setting up a lot more. And many of these, not all of them, but some of these Goa'uld do return. We do see them at later, or at least hear about them at later times too. So
Nice. I just wish Hathor was still around.
Yeah.
That would have been fun to
I
see
know.
her here.
yeah, you get nerdy again. Does that help?
Sure.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, I know. It's definitely return to form, Stargate, and just makes me wonder where the replicators are because they front loaded those and now haven't
They'll
heard
come
from them.
back.
But
Coming.
I know
They're
they'll
coming
be back.
this season.
Oh,
This
good.
season.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
couple
none of
more.
this stuff gets forgotten. That is again, that's one nice thing about SG-1. There are a lot of things that we've talked about that. Oh yeah, that would be a great continuing plot, except there was only one episode dealing with that, and it's over. But there are a lot of these kind of things, like the replicators, like these different Goa'uld, especially kind of like this is. You could kind of consider it the second generation of Goa'uld, because Apophis and kind of his group is gone, and now we've got the second group, and they don't forget about them. They do bring them back, some more than others.
And a little like what you talked about, Jack, I think especially first season, maybe second season, we were doing this. You talked a lot about wanting them to be a little more fully constructed versus like their reasonings or why they were bad or a little more motive besides just I'm bad,
Yeah.
I want to kill
The
everybody.
mustache twirling.
Yeah.
Gold,
and
you
I
know.
feel like now we're in that evolution with Anubis and Baal especially, and even some as we go into Nerdy more. Like I feel like you're going to get, and the replicators, you're going to get more of that, more
Nice.
defined evil of why they're evil.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun.
And we even
So
kind of see
you're
with
right. It's like
Osiris
a
a little
kickoff.
bit too, where she,
Mhm.
she's not a one note character.
I
You know,
like
there's-
her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's one that I know I said that last time. I really like her arrogance, I don't know. She's one I cheer for her.
She's got a good swagger about her.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. She's been, Osiris, been gone for forever. And she just walks in and Zapotnik's like, hey, you want a job? And she's like, yeah, I'll be the ambassador for the new big bad guy that I haven't met.
Well, she
And-
wasn't too impressed by the whole idea. She wanted to be the one to go to attack the planet first. And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I can do this, and comes in and And oh, by the way, nobody's supposed to have weapons, but she just happens to have a knife under her belt. Oops.
They didn't check for that.
No, they didn't.
No metal detectors, I guess.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. So I like her. I like she's a good addition for me.
And I have to admit, I'm kind of partial to the actress, Anna Louise Plowman. I really am partial to her because she, of course, a couple of years after this, she's on Doctor Who. There's an episode, the first episode of New Who with the Daleks. She's like the assistant of the rich guy who's collecting all the different alien parts. And she's the one that like gets him, memory wiped and shipped off to some, what was it? Some town that starts with M, like Minneapolis or something like that. I can't remember the exact line.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that episode.
Yep.
Awesome. Did y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
Well, we did hint on it, but officially, officially, Lieutenant Elliot / Lantash sacrificed themselves for the team, but we don't see it off scene. But of course, the team makes it back to Earth in time to save Earth from an asteroid, a la Armageddon. So
Armageddon.
Yeah. Just a couple things. The first is this kind of like meeting of the pagan gods. There's an episode of Supernatural called Hammer of the Gods, where a bunch of pagan gods meet in a hotel to try and figure out how they're going to stop the Judeo-Christian apocalypse from coming. And so it's kind of a clever episode there too.
So they have like a conference room they take over to meet?
Yeah, they take over a hotel conference room, and they basically try to discuss how they're going to keep the apocalypse from happening, because it'll mess up their plans on Earth and stuff. So
if there wasn't PowerPoint slideshow, it was not a real meeting.
Yeah, no PowerPoints, but yeah. So and then the other thing too is we do have a fun foreign language title for this. In German, the name of this episode is Elliot's große Mission. So Elliot's big mission. That's the name of the episode.
So Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, Elliot's major mission.
That's terrible.
I know.
Wow.
He did outlast his team members. I'm just gonna say
He did. Yeah, Major Mansfield got squished. And,
actually, some of the other titles are pretty good. You got Hungarian translates to The Last Refuge.
Yeah.
French is No Exit Part 2. Which implies that the previous episode was No Exit Part 1.
Yeah. Italian Fuga Finale. Final escape. So
gosh. You do have to wonder about the Tok'ra, the idea that they don't have ships, they can't get to the rings, and they're trapped underground. Like, not the brightest. Of course, the Tok'ra we've argued have never been really the brightest, but
yeah. Well, the ships that they have are always, whatever they can scrounge from the gold.
And they're busy.
My theory is the Tok'ra's main beef with the Goa'uld is that the Tok'ra are just the less talented Goa'uld, and so they're mad they can't be part of them. So they're going to start they're going to go start their own team.
They're cooler than us. That's not fair.
No system lords allowed. It's just spray painted on their door.
Clubhouse. Yeah, this is the AV Geek Clubhouse, and you're not allowed.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good theory. Development.
Awesome. We do have some feedback on some of our previous episodes. On our recent episode on Proving Ground, Hammond, I'm assuming this is the Hammond, commented.
Hammond of Texas.
Hammond of Texas, right. Definitely found myself annoyed throughout this episode for some reason. The characters are generic and not particularly interesting actors either. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else, but
yeah,
I feel like that's mostly the direction. And like you guys say, we know there was a twist coming the whole time. Yep. A twist and a twist and a twist and a twist.
And yeah, that's about it.
The only good thing about the whole twist thing was I like at the very end as Jack is walking away with Elliot, the light comes on and starts spinning again. Like I thought that was just comedically good.
Yeah.
We also have a comment on our episode from way back, episode 57, Pretense. Christine Hack says, "You guys rated this episode a lot lower than I remembered it. May need to rewatch and figure out my stance the second time around. I'm surprised there wasn't any discussion in this episode about the implications of a courtroom debate over bodily autonomy. Although space trials or triads are a little hackneyed, there's potentially a lot to unpack here regarding the rights of beings who are dependent on other beings in order to survive. Yeah, I guess it could be analogous to something like that, but I feel like it's a pretty clear-cut thing, and it's pretty clear-cut in both situations.
And this one's a little bit harder too, because you're talking about a being that imposed himself on another being versus, other bodily autonomy issues. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was an interesting concept that I feel like they didn't execute well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we don't really revisit it.
Nope.
Which
no.
Every once in a while they keep doing the what Daniel Jackson brings up what about the host?
Yeah.
And that's about 2 seconds worth of episode, and that's the end of it. Until the next
just
one.
Just enough for him to say, I can't kill Osiris because I got to save Sarah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, previously it was his wife then.
His wife. I mean. Yeah. But he forgot about her a while ago.
Oh, yeah. She's
pretty
dead.
Quickly.
Let's go for the girlfriend. Yeah, it was like the next episode. He already had a new girlfriend.
It was the next episode.
My wife's dead now. Share's dead. So now, hey, I'm available again. Let's go.
It's the Austin Powers line. That means I'm single again. Oh, behave.
Yeah.
Awesome. We really appreciate the feedback. And if you want to reach out to us, you can find us. You can email us at stargate@sqpn.com, and also come on over to the sqpn.com Discord. We got a Secret to Stargate channel over there. It's a lot of fun. And before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secret to Stargate, including Rachel H., Joseph G., Michael K., Chris D., and Adam B. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secret to Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give, and be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. And to find previous episodes of Secret to Stargate and to send us feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Failsafe. It's not Elliot's Big Adventure Part 2. I kind of wish it was.
Big Top Elliot.
Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack, and insolence.
I'm not going to be able to say the rest of the stuff. Once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?